Everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Infra code and Terraform session. So this is about Terraform basics and Infra code basics basically. So as I mentioned yesterday, like Infra code can be useful to automate infrastructure. Traditionally, infrastructure creation was manual and there should be many days and weeks has been taken for creating infrastructure, like multiple teams involved. But using infrastructure code tools, yeah, those dependencies resolved and we can create infrastructure within a few hours basically. That's the idea. And uh, uh, in IAC, the infrastructure is defined as code and we can also version control as we discussed yesterday. And infrastructure code created using Terraform kind of tools can also resolve the configuration drift and recreate the infrastructure to keep the desired state of the infrastructure. So there are multiple tools available. So in this slide, I have listed on few Terraform, Ansible, Chef, AWS CloudFormation, Azure ARM, and GCP Deployment Manager basically. So these are all the tools AWS CloudFormation, ARM, and Cloud Deployment Manager is specific to each cloud provider's infrastructure as a code tools. But when compared to them, Terraform is a kind of a common tool, I would say, or technology that can be used for creating infrastructure in any cloud. And with respect to Terraform, there is also one added information is using Terraform, we can create only what's it called immutable infrastructure actually. So it meaning every infrastructure created has to be recreated if there is a configuration changes there. So that we will discuss anyway later, know how to do that basically. And Chef, Ansible kind of infrastructure tools or just like a software configuration management tool in which same infrastructure will be used to reapply the configurations basically, or whatever the server changes and all. So that's the idea in this slide. And Terraform, as I mentioned yesterday, it supports many infrastructure providers like Amazon, Azure, IBM Cloud, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, VMware, OpenStack kind of providers. These are some of the examples, but there are even more providers are available. So each cloud provider is called each cloud platform is called as cloud provider in Terraform. So yeah, and Shikarp is maintaining official list of providers in their GitHub, and community is contributing, and each of the cloud provider also contributing to expanding the provider support in Terraform. And the Terraform is of course the extensively used IAC tool in the market now. So getting to know about Terraform is one of the important aspect of learning DevOps, CI/CD, and cloud automation basically. So that is information in this slide. And this one we discussed yesterday. Terraform uses a CLI tool and it interacts with cloud provider and uses the cloud provider API to create and manage infrastructure. So yeah, and Terraform CLI the Terraform code, whether the configuration is valid or not. This is the basic of very basic of Terraform CLI, and we will also deep dive into the upcoming sessions. And HashiCorp language, as I mentioned, that is a language that will be used for creating infrastructure in Terraform, and it has various blocks, and each block can contain a name and what is the resource basically, or what is a block and what is a block name basically. So here in this example, I have depicted the resource block actually. Uh, so basically, this block is depicting a AWS VPC resource, and the VPC name is app VPC, and there are some important arguments that we need to pass for creating this AWS VPC resource. So similarly, there are multiple other blocks like provider block and variable block, everything. So that anyway, like now, as I mentioned, we will deep dive in upcoming sessions. So yeah, and the Terraform is like now having many things as a concept, right? So basically, like provider, as I mentioned is already, like provider is the one, the each cloud provider that we will be creating infrastructure, and resources are the cloud resources that we will be automating using Terraform. And module is something like a subroutine kind of program in which we can write one code and we can reuse it for many purposes basically, so that we don't have to rewrite the same code again and again. So that code redundancy part will be avoided when we are using modules. And the provisioner can be used to perform specific action to local machine or on a remote machine in order to prepare servers and other infrastructure. Basically, like provisioner example is like in AWS and those kind of cloud provider, we will be having a cloud init script in which we will be writing the basic steps to execute a script whenever the instance is created. So that can be handled via provisioner. And Terraform variable is something like we can use variables in Terraform infrastructure code, and according to environment or our need, we can pass different variable for different purposes. So the same code can be used with different variables actually. So that is the idea. So these are all the basic concepts like resources, providers, modules, provisioner, and Terraform variable. So we will also like learn more about this as and when we deep dive into the Terraform hands-on. And yeah, and other few other concepts are like Terraform state file and Terraform dependency log file. So state file is the one that would be holding the information about the resources that we are going to create, and and the log file is something like whenever we are running the Terraform instance, the Terraform resource creation using Terraform CLI command, it will be creating a log file so that anyone else trying to run the same code, that will be avoided basically. Like in multiple developer environment, every infrastructure developer will be having the access to the same Terraform code. So if when one developer is like not trying to execute the code, and if other developer is trying to execute the same code, uh, the other developer cannot do, because the same code was getting executed by first developer, and the Terraform log file will try to avoid the second execution of the same infrastructure. So that is the purpose. And it is like no we can also store the log file in the developer system or in the cloud storages like S3 or Azure Blob and all. So again, like we will deep dive into these things in hands-on sessions. So just remember the state file and Terraform dependency log file. Yeah, so that's about it. And yeah, anyway, I will also share the link for this PPT in my video. Yeah, so I think for basics, Terraform basics, I think this is the major information I would like to call upon. So yeah, that's it, and thank you.